Well, in this video, we're going to take a look at some of my favorite gear that I take with me, regardless if I'm traveling across country or across the globe. Plus, we're going to take a look at some new gear that I'm adding to my travel supplies as we adjust to a new sense of normal after living through a worldwide shutdown and a global pandemic. Well, hey folks, welcome to another video. Thanks for joining me today here at Gideonstactical. I'm Aaron, and we're going to discuss today this concept of getting back to travel. I know it's maybe a little premature, but I love traveling. I've had an amazing opportunity over the years to not only travel for pleasure, but also for missions trips and for humanitarian aid. I've gone from everywhere from Cambodia 3 times. I've been to Beijing, Shanghai, Wuhan, the Wuhan. I've been to Egypt, I've been to Israel, I've been to Russia, I've been to Botswana. I've been all over the world, and my wife and I are planning some trips in the next year or two to go overseas. We want to go to Iceland. I really want to go to like Chile and Argentina. My family is considering doing some sort of backpacking trip down in South America or Central America. So we love traveling, not only to go see family across country, but across the world. And this whole global shutdown, this whole global pandemic has really shifted things and has brought us to a new sense of normal, if you will. And we don't even really know what that will look like. And it'll probably take years before we get back to a sense of normal travel and, you know, things like that. But I've been thinking about what does that look like and what are some of my favorite gear items, regardless if I've gone to the first world or the third world, and regardless if it's been for fun and pleasure and sightseeing or if it's been for the humanitarian aid and, you know, building projects and things like that. What are some of my favorite gear items to take with me? But what are some things that have, since this pandemic, really shifted and changed? And what are some gear items and supplies that either are even more important and more vital than ever that I was taking before? And really give you guys some strategies on looking at your gear, regardless if it's the stuff we look at today or not. And what are some maybe measures you can take to be ready and more prepared, regardless if there's another global shutdown and you have to rush home, and hop planes back and you're on the middle of a vacation, or if you're right in the middle of it and you're going to be there for a while, you're even going to try and, weather the storm either in a different state or in a different country, and there is either some sort of power outage, EMP, global shutdown, you name it. Giving you some tips, ideas today in this video on what you could take with you, not only to just make the trip more enjoyable, but maybe to be a little bit more prepared if that ever was to happen again. All right, folks, here we go. We're going to jump into each item that you see represented here. So guys, if you've been following the channel for any period of time, you know I love coffee. I'm really addicted to it. And regardless if I'm going for a ski trip in the Alps or if I'm going to help with reconstruction in Haiti after the earthquake, I think that if I had to choose of all the portable coffee systems that I have collapsible pour overs, I have compact French presses that are portable, that are also a thermos. I mean, I got every way under the sun to make coffee. I honestly would go with the AeroPress Go that you see before you, because it's not only more compact than ever before, it produces some of the most flavorful, full but not harsh cups of coffee I've ever had. Comes with the filters. Everything is in that little setup that you see there that's about 2/3 the size of a Nalgene bottle, and it comes with its own cup now. And particularly just thinking through, if you will, the environment of maybe not wanting other people, if there was some sort of, pandemic, or you're just wanting to be a little bit more conscientious, you don't want other people handling your stuff as much. Now you can have the same cup that you're brewing your coffee in, so you just can control your liquid intake a little bit better, and you know where it's been, and you washed it out, and you're not having to go with either trying to find a styrofoam cup or trust that that mug was cleaned properly or who handled it before you, all that type of stuff, even the waiter. So that's why I love my AeroPress Go, and that I would take with me no matter if it's the third world or the first world. Some tools here and bounce back and forth as we go through this. But the first one I want to hit is probably, of all the ones I'm about to show you, the one that no matter what, I think you should take with you. This is now an update to what I had previously recommended, which was the Gerber EAB Light box cutter utility knife. That's a great little tool, still an awesome option. This is kind of a step up. This is the Gerber Pry-Brid for about $22 to $25. I can't remember the exact cost. This thing is an amazing tool that came out this year. I've really been enjoying it. It takes a regular utility knife, so you can swap it out, and it doesn't normally go that way. When you push it the first time, it'll open to right there. But you get a full grip on that G10 handle. It has a stainless steel core with a pry bar. You can use it, it's kind of a flathead screwdriver if you need to. It's okay at that. It's not like mind-blowing, but you can definitely do some flatheads with it. Bottle opener, cord cutter, and I just really like it a lot. Even if the blade wasn't in there, you could even use this as kind of a little self-defense tool if you had to. It's better than nothing. I'd rather have that in my hand than nothing in my hand if I had to. Little lanyard hole, nail puller, pry bar, you know, all that stuff is in there. And what's great about it is you can even, you know, remove the blade, dump it at the airport, go through, and then when you get to your location, depending on where you are in the world, depending on, you know, where you are in the country, whatever it is, pick up a box cutter blade, utility blade. You know, if you're checking luggage, you could even throw it in there, you know, whatever you want to do, and you're good to go. And even if you forgot about the blade itself in TSA or whoever, you know, around the world points it out to you, you can go, oh yeah, pull the blade out, you're good to rock and roll. So that is an amazing tool, highly recommended. And regardless if you are just, you know, going for leisure and pleasure, and, you know, you had to reschedule your trip that you had scheduled earlier in the year, and now you're going to go, you know, on a vacation with the family, or you are going to the third world and going to have to do a lot of hard work, that's a great tool to have with you either way. Never in 1,000 years, if you were to ask me, what's one of the things that you think people will go to first in an end of the world scenario, pandemic, whatever, would I have thought it would be toilet paper. But based off of what we have recently seen here, not only in the United States, but I know around the world, and people hoarding toilet paper, doing that type of stuff, if that was ever to happen again, you were trapped somewhere, stuck somewhere, just whatever, just for pure convenience sake, you gotta go with bringing some of your own bum wipes. And I like these Stallmates. They're single use. You know, honestly, that one wipe in there can take care of most of the time when I go do my business. So, you know, 4 or 5 of those could definitely take care of a few days, you know, worth, if you literally could not find toilet paper anywhere. You know, something happened wherever you were traveling, and, you know, the stalls are empty, they don't have any more supplies, whatever it would be. And in just normal, you know, traveling scenarios, it's nice to have that either as an end to your wiping experience, or in an emergency, particularly, you know, when you're out there in the bush and you're doing a project or something like that. You know, regardless if you're a videographer, mission trip, whatever, it's nice to have that, and you don't have to wonder, is there going to be toilet paper available for me? Then the other thing as well are these EO natural deodorant wipes. These things are amazing. You can get them unscented, or they have a few scents out there. They're made with tree or tea tree product, all natural. The same kind of concept. You don't have to worry about a spray bottle. You don't have to wonder if it's going to be confiscated when you're like traveling, and they have different bans and things like that. It's just a simple way to keep fresh, particularly on those super long overseas trips if you're flying, or even if you're, you know, driving, you know, and you don't have a lot of time to take a shower and clean up. It has a very good scent, but not overly powering, and not manufactured scent. It smells very natural and like a tree, like a tea tree. I don't know how to describe it outside of that. Give them a shot. That's a great way to stay fresh when you're on the go and you're traveling internationally, or, you know, from state to state. All right, folks, I think this is going to probably be the most important and also possibly the most controversial part of this entire video, is the medical kit and medical supplies. I think that it is extremely important, now that we've experienced this, to at least have one per person, if not more, N95 masks. And I understand, like, have the right fit, have all the, you know, all those different things, some, you know, single use, blah, 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 all that. But I think I'm going to take one with me no matter what from now on, traveling, regardless if it's in, particularly for like airplanes and things like that, just because of the fact that you don't know who has what. And now, having experienced this, again, Corona, for me being the person that I am with health and all that stuff and age, it's not as big a deal for me. But if there was some other disease that was going on, if just in those little cylindrical tubes flying through the air and circulating the air and things like that, I think you're going to see a lot of people starting to wear masks on a more regular basis. And depending on where I'm going, and maybe if there were some, you know, travel warnings, I think we're going to see a lot more of those, you know, for years to come, of like, hey, this area is kind of a hot spot. Be conscientious of that about about this disease or that disease. So traveling with an N95 mask, I think, is going to become an important piece to take with you that you can either use or not use depending on where you go, and then a few medical gloves as well, so that depending on, and now this, what I'm saying is I'm not going to be traveling and that you're going to see me from the rest of my life walking like this. I'm just saying I can have that in an emergency, and if I needed to, something that didn't seem like a hot spot, I get there, I'm a couple of days in, and somehow boom, they'd let out an emergency, hey, there's a hot spot, and who knows what could come out, you know, in years to come, super bugs or things like that. So I think that's an important aspect. And then a good stocked medical kit. Now I have everything from, you know, tourniquets and Advil and eye drops, you know, to clean out your eyes, but also, you know, Band-Aids and antibiotic cream and, you know, compresses and all kinds of things like that. And what I believe is more important than ever to have a really good, you know, stocked medical kit that you're comfortable with, you know how to use it and deploy it, not buying stuff that you have no idea how to use, is in an emergency situation, regardless if it was, you know, an EMP, the power goes out, financial disaster, and or pandemic, regardless of what the situation is, you're probably not going to want to go to the hospital or a medical facility unless you are in a life and death situation. And the more problems that arise that you can handle on your own without going to a place where maybe there's a ton of infected people or there's just a ton of people in general, you know, and you're going to be days or possibly hours and hours before you're going to be seen, as many medical scenarios that you can handle on your own, the more not only mobile you are, then you can catch your flights and you're not having to wait to, you know, maybe postpone, and who knows, and everyone's trying to get back to their own home countries like we recently experienced, that it will be something that you could possibly handle on your own depending on the emergency. You get a big gash, you know, something, you get pushed down and shoved, and, you know, you have this huge gash that needs just stitches, and, you know, you're bleeding pretty bad, but because you have a good stock medical kit, you can take care of that, or you can help a family member or something like that. I think is a super important thing. Have extra medication with you if you're on any meds. That thing is very, very vital in my opinion, now more than ever when you're traveling. Now this is a no-brainer more than ever, whereas before I would kind of poo-poo hand sanitizer, or maybe just like, oh yeah, some hand sanitizer. I mean, that's life or death sometimes for some people. So definitely have a good stock of hand sanitizer with you before you leave home. Now this is going to be a 2-for-1. It's got a lot of cool aspects to it. This Hazard 4 Milpod sunglass case. These will go for about 15 to 20 bucks. Really rigid, not going to destroy even really expensive glasses, things like that. What I like is on the back side here, we not only have PALS webbing compatible straps, so you could even run it on like backpacks that have MOLLE or just other things like that, and it also has a really nice rotatable clasp here, so you can just attach it really quick for on the go, run it on a belt if you wanted to, whatever you want to do. Lots of attachment points. They have tan and black available. Nice little strap right there. Opens up. I can't remember. That's not a YKK zipper. It is an SRS or SBS. Yeah, SBS, felt lined. So what I would suggest, and I love it, so for sunglasses is a great carry-on. And what I have in here, and something to consider, I've been using these for a while now, are my knockaround sunglasses blue lens or blue light diffusers for technology. You know, when you're looking at just a lot of tech and it can be kind of cumbersome, fatigue your eyes over a long period of time with this pandemic going on, and, you know, a lot of home time, you're on screens a lot. But the cool thing is that, and for me, I don't need eyewear. I don't, at this point in my life, don't need glasses, and hopefully won't at any point in time. But not only does it help to not fatigue your eyes, but you can see through them just normal anyway. And with what we have been experiencing with this coronavirus, and what could happen if there was something maybe more contagious, something like that. I know eye contact is also a way that you could get infected with certain diseases. You could wear that if you were in an environment where you were concerned about that. You can wear these, you can see through them day or night, indoors, outdoors, and it's a dual factor. So it's not only protecting your eyes from fatigue, but it could protect your eyes from germ contaminants. So just something to kind of think about and consider there, or again, obviously throw your sunglasses in there, and almost any size of sunglasses I've ever owned will fit inside that pod. And again, we will have those knockarounds in the links below. You can go check them out either on Amazon or on the knockaround website, links below. All right, next up we have the USA-made Gerber MMP bladeless multi-tool. I've had this for about 5 years now, and it is growing strong. I've flown all the way up to Alaska, gone on a cruise, and then come back and gone to Pennsylvania with it. I've had TSA absolutely look at it, you know, inspect it, but have never had it confiscated. And the reason is that it doesn't have any blades on it. So it has pliers, it has wire cutters, has all that jazz. Then on the back side, you got everything from bottle cap opener to different types of screwdrivers, scissors, 3D, and it has the place, which I've removed because one time they did want to take that, regrid, or I can't remember the type. It's kind of like a gridded blade that you could go through like drywall and or some packaging. And then obviously it's one-handed deployment, and you can close that bad boy up. Now the blade list fluctuates between like $45 and $65, just to last I checked. Comes with that little nylon pouch. It's a great option to have, and I always prefer having some sort of multi-tool with me. Again, bad scenario. I mean, I've been on a trip where we went to Russia. This is back in like 2004, I think. Went to Russia, we were in Moscow, took a boat all the way up to, on the Volga, up to St. Petersburg, then took a bus ride for several hours. I think it was like 16-hour bus ride into Latvia. So, I mean, there's a lot, and we went through a lot of rural areas, a lot of places that we might have been broken down in. Two people didn't have proper passport stuff, so we had to leave them at the checkpoint border with Latvia. Imagine if that was me. You know, I mean, you don't know what scenarios you may encounter, regardless if that's a leisure or, you know, you're doing some heavy lifting and doing something for, you know, humanitarian stuff. So I like it because of obviously the bladeless feature, but it gives me a lot of tools to work with. And though it's not the most indestructible multi-tool, it's a really good, tough multi-tool that hasn't let me down with all sorts of different scenarios that I have used it in. Some of you may say, well, hey, isn't there like the rebar bladeless, I think? Yes, but that has a saw that you cannot remove from it unless I think you take the whole tool apart. And so for that reason, I don't think that will be allowed in a lot of places and on a lot of aircraft. So even though that's a good option, I would prefer this because as of yet, I have not been stopped here in the States. I don't know around the world, but I think I took that to Haiti. I can't remember if I took that to Haiti or not. But anyway, great multi-tool if you want to have something bigger and with a couple more tool sets than the Gerber Prybrid. Now, folks, I've done testing, reviewing, and owned almost every single version of water bottles that exist out there, from Yetis to Hydro Flasks to Nalgene's to everything in between. I mean, there's almost, if it's on the market and it's a name brand, I own it and have tested it, used it, and carry it on a regular basis. But if you were to ask me, going around the world, I'm traveling, regardless if it's over spending the weekend, you know, in France for our anniversary, which is something my wife wants to do, you know, or if it's going on a short-term mission and we're building, you know, an orphanage in Cambodia or something like that, and anywhere in between, honestly, I'm gonna go with my Nalgene's. The Nalgene is just bomb-proof. If you do lose it, you didn't lose a $40 water bottle, you lost like an $8 water bottle. And I really prefer the more flexible, that kind of give a little bit bottles over the rigid ones. I've found that the rigid ones, if dropped in a particular way sometimes, have broken on me, and have had friends that have had them broken on me, whereas the semi-flexible that have some give to it have the shock absorption that if you did drop it even from higher you know, heights and things like that, they have a tendency to last longer. So that's what I would take with me of all the brands, Yeti and Hydro Flasks and, you know, Keen and all, or Clean and all the other ones that are out there. A 32-ounce Nalgene water bottle that gives is what I would take with me anywhere in the world. I'll take a brief timeout just to remind you about the hyperlinks that we have for you guys below over to Amazon, Blade HQ, GP Knives, Knockaround Sunglass Company, 511, so many other hyperlinks that we offer to you. I will try to have a complete list in those Amazon links for you. Sometimes Amazon like auto-populates a bunch of random stuff, so I'm sorry if there's random stuff in there. But I'll do my best, and if I'm missing something in those links, you can always leave a comment, and I'll do my best to respond to you, or one of the other viewers will as well. But we just appreciate it when you do purchase through those hyperlinks. If something does pop up to you and you're like, oh, that's a good item, I need to pick that up, I'm going to do that right now. We appreciate when you do use those hyperlinks that are in those description boxes below. Now more than ever before, I think even this pandemic has kind of caused a lot of people to start YouTube channels that they haven't before, blogs, video, you know, documentation of their lives and things like that. And I think that traveling and when you go places, it's amazing to capture that, make a video afterwards, you know, that's fun and entertaining that you can remember. You know, when I did a lot of the things I'm telling you about, that was in the early 2000s, before a lot of these products were in existence. This is before I started my YouTube channel, that I went and did most of these things. And so I wish that I'd had some of the products that I now have to have documented those times better than just a few photos here and there. That was even really before smartphones. You know, this is when I had like a razor. What's it called? There's a Nokia razor. So what I would take with me the next time I go out is this layout, and I use this for a lot of my stuff here at the channel. But I have currently a GoPro Hero 7. I think that's the black now. I know they even have the Hero 8. I will eventually upgrade to that, but whatever the newest version of the GoPros are, I would definitely have backup batteries with their new motion control, which takes out a lot of the rock and shake, which almost like it's gimbal free. It's not quite, but close. They do eat batteries pretty quick though, so I definitely have some spare batteries. But a GoPro, a Gorilla Pod, those Gorilla Pods are amazing. They have their little balance on the back level, so you can get clear shots. You can attach it to almost anything. The only downside is, what I've found is that the GoPro will pick up the handling of that, and there's just so many joints and stuff that you'll hear like rattle and like all the time on the audio if you just attach it to there and you're like using that as your like selfie stick and stuff, if you're vlogging or you're just like talking to the camera. So I don't really like using it that way. It's doable, but you'll get a lot of like excess noise from the Gorilla Pod itself unless it's stationary. So I also will take with me down here the Manafort selfie stick. So the cool thing about this that a lot of the other ones do not have, and I think, man, like probably 25 bucks, probably 35 bucks, you know, and then I think the GoPros are going like 350 right now. But what I like about this is that it's lightweight. I'm going to read the specs off here to you. I'm sorry if this isn't in focus, but let's see here. It has a max weight of 2.2 pounds, so that's what it can handle. So for the GoPro, it's great. It can extend all the way to 53 inches. And then when it's collapsed, it's 17 inches, and it has a thread on the top and the bottom. So I can use it either as a selfie stick, you know, wand, just for when I'm walking around getting shots and things like that, and that's what I do a lot of the time. I can get really cool long distance shots, reach over things, and do that. But I can also screw it onto the Gorilla Pod, use it as a monopod, like kind of tripod, if you will, and then get like on a tripod shots, you know, and it's almost at my neck height. So if I just get back a little bit with the way the GoPro is designed, I can get some great shots. You know, at that height, sometimes it'll wobble a little bit if there's a lot of wind. So just keep that in consideration. But it may be rested up against a little something to give it a little extra whatever. But it's a great kind of do everything system there to document stuff through your video, you know, and things like that. So, and on top of that, before I forget, I also carry it in these KELTY attaché cases. They've got like a rigid frame to them, really lightweight. They have little, you know, pockets in there, little places you could put like 2 extra GoPro batteries and some memory cards. You could easily fit your GoPro and a few accessories and a charger, you know, in there. So that's a good little system, probably like 10 bucks. So that's how I take all of my stuff, and the next time I do go travel, that's what I'll carry with me. So the Outdoor Research Ferocity series, and particularly the Ferocity hoodie, has been a staple here at the channel for years now. I've used it trekking, hiking, backpacking, around town, and everywhere in between, and I love this coat. It's really like don't leave home without it. It's light enough that it can go with you in almost any environment, even up to about like 60 degrees. It can work as a medium rated raincoat, you know, can repel rain for about like 20 minutes is what I've experienced before it completely soaks through. So it's slight downpours if you're running from building to building, you know, things like that. You will need a full-on rain shell if you think you're going to be in downpours, like when I have been in Cambodia and some of Southeast Asia and things like that. You know, it wouldn't protect against complete downpours for hours on end, but snow, and just a great windbreaker, but it also breathes really, really well, and it's so lightweight. You can stuff it down inside inside its own pocket. So it's about the size of a Nalgene or smaller when you stuff it all down. And it's just amazing. And it's got a Cordura nylon fabric. I just love the build. It's lasted for years. I have multiple versions of them. And I think I literally anywhere in the world that I would go, almost any season, any time of year, it will go with me just because of the versatility that it offers as either an outer wind shell, and then I can, you know, layer underneath if it's colder conditions, or in lighter conditions, either be a good windbreaker or element breaker. Since I've done it in the past when I've traveled and seen family in Pennsylvania and different things like that. All right, guys, let's talk about footwear. These are the Vask Jux. And these are amazing pairs of shoes. I've done a video or two on them in the past. I think I've had these for over 10 years, and not this exact model, or not this exact pair, but this same model I have been wearing for a decade now, and still I'm in love with this design. And guys, I have hiking boots, running shoes. I have probably a dozen different types of pairs of shoes from all different manufacturers. But the reason that this one connects with me so much is that you can usually get them for about $70 to $100. Just depends on color combination and where you're buying it from and all that. So it's not going to break the bank. You know, you can easily spend 150, 200 bucks on a pair of shoes. It's got a lot of leather, so it's going to be tough and durable. I've hiked and trekked with these not only in the jungles of Cambodia, but also in the, you know, suburbs and downtown area of Tel Aviv. And everywhere in between. I've gone to Haiti with these, I've gone to Botswana with these. I've been all over the world with them, and I like that they're low top. They're not like trail runners. They're not that light, but they're not like super heavy duty backpacking boots. They got good traction. I like the tread on them. And they just support. I can stand on them for 10, 12 hours. I can be going traveling, you know, in airports on hard, you know, floors, and then be trekking through mud and gunk in the jungle, and it doesn't matter. They just really work well for me. So I really like those. Those are if I was going to pick a pair of shoes to go travel, again, regardless if it's, you know, urban and we're going to go see the sights in the first world, or we're going to go help out people in the third, doesn't matter, that this would be the pair of shoes that I would take with me, and has been for a decade or more. So as I am filming this with quarantine, we do have a lot going on in the backyards and stuff, so there may be some background noise that I'll try and push through here, so I apologize if you're hearing some of it. So I thought long and hard. You know, one of the major things we do here is testing knives, fixed blades and pocket knives. So I have a plethora to choose from, and I thought long and hard about this decision. But if I had to choose from my entire collection of knives, if I was going to take a knife, because I was going to check luggage and I was going to go particularly do harder work, you know, some of the activities, particularly mission trips I've done, I'm thinking of Haiti. I mean, I remember one day we rebuilt a whole foundation for a church that had like collapsed and stuff. And so we're up on a hillside in like 90-degree weather with like 80% humidity, sweating our brains out, working in the sand, the dirt, the grit. We're cutting bags, we're cutting packaging. You know, I used a knife a lot. Now back then I didn't have a Voyager. I can't even remember what tool I had. But I know it just didn't quite do the job, and I was wishing I had something a little more durable. And so I thought long and hard, and I'm gonna say that the Cold Steel Voyager, this is the AUS 10 version that they have done. This is the 4-inch blade. That grip is so full. I can wear work gloves with this thing and work all day. The large blade can do a lot of work for me. The triad locking system is bomb-proof. It's ambidextrous. I mean, this thing is so epic in every single way. Heavy traction. It's not going to fall out of my pocket, so it's less likely for me to lose it. The full flat grind will be good for even for food prep and things, whereas a lot of the other blades I was looking at were either hollow or saber grinds. You know, I was thinking the Cold Steel Recon maybe, you know, as an option. I was looking at the Buck 110, 112, and those are all great options. There's tons of options out there. I'm just telling you kind of like, for me, my system, my gear, what I would go with. It's because of also the price point. You know, if this was confiscated, if this was lost, someone stole it out of my luggage, whatever it was, or if I even, this happens a lot, I gift it to somebody. You know, at the end of the trip, I want to gift it to someone, you know, like our guide or the person that was working with us all day, or, you know, there's like, yeah, the foreman was just amazing, you know, and they're never going to get anything close to this. Hey, I want to gift this to you, you know, when the trip's over, and stuff. So it's not like this huge, like, whoa, I got this $200 pocket knife that either got jacked or that I wanted to gift, you know, it's like 50 bucks. I mean, and it's so good. It's going to hold a great edge. That is an awesome tool to take with you, particularly if you are doing just a lot of harder work. It's a workhorse, but it's not going to break the bank. So I'm going to say the Voyager, but there are lots of great options out there for a budget-friendly and maybe size is a concern to you option. Can't go wrong with the K-Bar Dozer. Lightweight, still super tough, great locking mechanism. Again, ambidextrous. You can get the thumb hole or thumb stud version. US 8 steel. It's still really tough, 20 bucks. So if you lose it or it gets confiscated, it's not, you know, you're not losing the $200 knife again. But I want to hear from you guys. If you were going to take a pocket knife, what would be your choice the next time you're traveling? Again, regardless if it's around the world or around the corner. All right, let's get to a little bit of technology here. Power banks more than ever, I think, are important. This is an Anker. There's so many different sizes. I really like Anker. There are lots of good brands out there, but I don't think I own another power bank that is an Anker brand just because of how durable, the good value to price point, and how their longevity just works and their versatility. So a power bank, you know, think of what happens if there was a power outage. You know, you just couldn't, you're traveling a bunch. I'm thinking of my sisters, they were in the UK when they shut down travel during the beginning of this coronavirus. And so they were traveling for over a day straight, and they didn't always have access to power, and they were trying to, you know, contact my parents and us and letting us know where they were. We didn't know where they were. Were they going to get trapped in the UK? Were they going to make it back in time? Were they going to get locked down in like one of the more hubs when they were coming back from the UK and then have to stay there? And, you know, we're trying to figure out where they're at. Can we help them? Do we need to send them money? You know, do we need to book flights for them because they couldn't get a hold of airlines? I mean, this is all right when the US was locking everything down, and being able to have backup power to use your phone to connect with people, I think is super, super important, because you may not always have the capability, either because power is out and or you're just on the move and don't have time to stop and charge something. So I think that's super important in this day and age. All right, next up, watches. Again, I appreciate smartwatches. Maybe one day I'll gravitate to those. At this point in time, it's still not for me. I'm good. And if you were to ask me, you know, I have some really nice, you know, automatic watches. Of all the watches that I own, I would go with a G-Shock and a Casio. This thing is just bomb-proof. Again, shout out to you, Bill. A gift from my neighbor years and years ago. It's been with me almost the entire length of the channel, and it's just awesome. So that if you were meeting somebody for a pickup, you know, to get to the airport, flights, different things like that, just knowing stuff, it has been through hell and back with me, and I don't have to worry about recharging it. And I don't have to worry about the elements when it comes to knowing what time it is, particularly if I'm trying to get somewhere and meet people for transportation or things like that. Next up is the fixed blade. Maybe you are going to be doing some of the things I'm talking about, and a pocket knife doesn't even make sense. You're like, man, I want a fixed blade. Like I'm maybe going to be going on a backpacking trip, you know, or I'm going to be going through the bush. I'm backpacking several countries or something, you know, or, you know, you are doing a lot of humanitarian work and you don't want the hazard, if you will, of a folding knife that is going to get gunk in the pivot and things like that you may have to maintain more because you're just going to be in grit and gunk like none other. Or, you know, a lot of places, they're just funny, like pocket knives, they have a lot more regulations, whereas fixed blades, they don't really care as much. So, I mean, there's just lots of things to consider depending on where you're going. But for me, and we did this in the previous video, of all the blades that I have that would be compact enough that I could everyday carry in a traveling scenario around the world, I would have to go with the Tops Knives CAT. That stands for Covert Anti-Terrorist. They have a lot of different versions. I have found it on Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and I will have that link as the cheapest. I found it for about $68. They have a couple versions. I paid $80 for this one. Just full enough to fill out my large size hands. $10.95. The reason I like it is that it does have a 3¼ inch cutting edge. Or I think it's maybe 3.1 and then, you know, a little bit longer. So it has a little more reach and a little more real estate to actually work with, but it's so slim as well. It's about as slim as a pocket knife. I think it's actually even slimmer. Yep. Than that Voyager that we looked at. So it's really low profile. So you can wear it even under a t-shirt and no one really knows that it's there. Good Kydex sheath that you can attach to a lot of stuff, different mounting options, but you can EDC it and no one will really ever know that you got it on your person, and gives you some lashing options. If you do want to consider two other options, I'll give you a cheapo one. Can't go wrong with the 3.5 inch Mora Pro Series. Any one of those would be a good option. $10, bomb proof, really, really good, durable. Clip it on your pocket, work with it, leave it with somebody at the, you know, in the country or something like that if you wanted to. And again, if it gets confiscated, stolen, who cares? That was 10 bucks. And at about 3.5, 3.6 inches, it'll go under the radar for a lot of regulations around the world and stuff. But if you wanted something more like the Tops, but it's just not for you, one other option, but again, I'm gonna go with the Tops, would be the Azula 2. Good blade, great knife. The reason that I like the Cat a little bit more is it has a little bit more real estate to work with. It's actually slimmer than the Azula, and the Azula just has a smaller blade. I like the little bit more reach and the saber grind. If I'm going fixed blade, I want it to be as tough as possible for an everyday carry. So it's an option. Good sheath. That's about $75 for that one. So really close in price to the Cat. Next up, you know, illumination. I thought long and hard about this. I have so many different flashlights, so many different capabilities out there, but I think that, again, having a flashlight, because what happens if the next time it's not a pandemic, but it's something else, you know, and it is a power outage, it is, you know, some sort of unrest, something like that that's going on, and you do need, you know, power. So I decided to stick with my tried and true. If you've been following the channel, you know this flashlight. I am in love with it. It's the Streamlight ProTac 1L1 AA, so it runs on a AA or a CR123 battery, so you can transition between the two. I would carry a couple spares, and the cool thing is you can even find CR123s that will have a USB plug, micro USB plug recharger, so you could actually charge the battery off of this pod if you needed to, or off a wall or whatever, and then keep using the flashlight. You can put it on the bill of a hat. It's pretty compact, has a couple different settings. You know, it's just bomb proof, and it's just been my tried and true for a long time. And with that, I would take a Nightcore headless flashlight strap, or headless, hands-free. It's about $5. You know, this guy is going to go for about 30, 35, something like that. $5. It's a Velcro strap, nylon. It's got a couple elastic bands on there, so you can slide the flashlight through there, put it on your head, and now you're hands-free if you needed to. So I think that's a good option, just a good combo. Out of all of the flashlights I have, that's what I would go around the world with, or across town with, if I could only pick one of my flashlights. Well, there you have it, folks. I'm not going to belabor it. I look forward to hearing your guys' recommendations as well. If there are things that you found just really work for you, maybe you travel a lot more even than I do, maybe that's something that's been a regular thing and you're like, dude, you totally forgot about this, you need to consider this. I'm looking forward to reading the comments and seeing what other things you guys would recommend, you experienced travelers, or just things maybe that I just totally blew over, you know, and you haven't ever been out of the country in your life, but you're like, man, think about this. Looking forward to seeing all that below. Check out the other video popping up. Subscribe if you're not a current subscriber. We're throwing up content like this all the time. We just appreciate you guys. Know that you're not alone during this time. And always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.